Sairam and loving welcome and greetings from the West Indies. On behalf of the SSIO West Indies, I want to welcome all of you on this call and thank you for joining this call, this heart-to-heart session with senior leaders of the SSIO. Before we start, let's do 3 Oms and 3 Shantis. Oh. 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam again, everyone. I want to recognize our zonal chair, Dr. Phil Gosselin, who is on this call tonight. I also want to thank and recognize all the senior leaders of the SSSIO who are present on this call tonight. And it's truly a great pleasure to introduce a very wise and senior leader of the SSSIO who I've had a chance to spend time with when he visited the West Indies in 2014. He is none other than our loving brother, Leonardo Gutta from Argentina. As you all know, Leonardo Gutta is a member of Prashanti Council. He is from Argentina, and he's been an ardent devotee of Bhagawan Srila Sai Baba for over 4 decades. He started the Latin America Sai movement in 1980, in the 80s, and previously served as the chairman of Zone 2 Latin America of the SSSIO. At a professional level, Brother Leonardo represents some of the largest American, European, and Japanese TV and cinema studios in Latin America. We lovingly welcome him to share his point of view and also introduce the other panel members who are with us today. He will try to answer the panel as many questions as possible, which you have sent me from the West Indies. And with Swami's grace, Swami's love and guidance, I pray this meeting will be a fruitful one. Welcome, Brother Leonardo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brother Sam. I offer my humble pronouns at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Master, Bhagawan Sathya Sai Baba, and I offer my love to all of you. I remember my visit to your beautiful country. I have memories in my heart, and I hope to have the opportunity to visit you again. Sure. Dear brothers and sisters, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak to you today, and with the other brothers that are joining me, I will introduce them now. We will have the presence of Brother Dr. Ghanshyam Patel, who has more than 5 decades being a Sai devotee. He has many experiences with Swami, so he will share a few words with all of us. Then, as a panelist, will be Dr. Venkat Sadanan, who is the IT chair, the chair of the IT committee, and also is a key member for all the other committees, the media committee, the IP committee. Well, almost in every committee, he's helping us. Brother Ashok Sankrani, he's the Zone Chair of Zone 5. Brother Suresh Govind, he is the chair of the Scriptural Committee. And Anupam Ganguly, who is the director of the Sri Sathya Sai World Foundation. We'll try today to give you clarity about what is happening now, what this test that we are going through. Can you hear me? Can you see me now? Because there is a strange message appeared on my screen. Anyway, I want to tell you that this is a real test that Swami is putting in our lives. God always put tests in the lives of all spiritual aspirants, but he has said us that the most important spiritual sadhana, spiritual discipline we can do is to follow implicitly, immediately his divine command. So this is much more important than all the bhajans, all the study circles, all the service activities. First, we have the opportunity to listen to his divine instructions, we have to follow them implicitly. We, the members of the Prashanti Council and the World Foundation, had the opportunity to be with him to receive his instructions about the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization. And that is why we're going to speak with you, to share with you what he has told us. Swami is ever present. He has not gone anywhere. He's in every moment, everywhere. He's guiding all of us. He's with us in this moment. And he's waiting to see if we have the strength, the courage to follow his divine guidance, his divine instructions. During the questions, I will answer and I will explain a little more about your doubts and about what were the divine instructions given by Swami to us, why we are standing where we stand now. So I would like first to ask our brother Ghanshyam Patel to say a few words, and then we'll start with this session of questions and answers. Thank you very much, dear brothers. Dr. Patel, please.
Yes, Om Sri Sai Ram. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Om Sri Sai Ram. I was, like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, if you cry for one day, God will come to you. In my life, I had two goals: to do something. And so like at the age about 25, I got my PhD, and to find a second aim was find God. And I was crying for God. And God took me to California, and through there, I came into Sai contact. And then I did not know anything. And when I moved from there, they asked me to start center. We started, bhajans Thursday, and then, it grew. So we had an experience of starting center in Pennsylvania. This is 1972, before even organization was formed. And then in 1975, I was a delegate to form the organizations. And I had several communication with Dr. Hislop, Dr. Goldstein, Bill Harvey, and so many of them. And each center had various issues. And and sometimes not resolved, we even directly took it to Swami. And believe me, this is not just overnight. I mean, so many devotees, great devotees from various countries. I mean, I know mostly in America because I live in America. And we had so many issues, and we resolved, and Swami directly guided us. And particularly the last thing I remember in 2010, when Swami was not that well in November, I was just walking in front of foreign canteen, and I met Dr. Goldstein. I said, Michael, what are you doing now? He said, oh, Swami has asked me to make sure that when we are not here, meaning Swami and Dr. Goldstein, how the organization will continue. And at that time, I didn't understand. I mean, I said, oh, this is Swami Leela and all that. But now it makes sense that I have full confidence that Swami and other leaders of our organizations has done proper course for our action, our future. And another thing, what I like to request all of some of people, that Swami's another teaching is, don't hurry. Hurry make waste, waste makes worries. What is the hurry about, just jumping from this organization? So millions of hours has been put by so many devotees in the world. I met so many good devotees from all over the world in Prashanti Nilayam. I was so happy to meet them and, lovingly go into darshan line and take a Swami's blessing and go. So I feel that very confident that there is no need to hurry. Just this baby is not even born. The new organization they are proposing not even born. And how can we, let's wait for their 5th birthday or 10th birthday or even 1st birthday, because there is no need for any of the, centers to really change when our organization has been working. Swami gave a direct direction for 36 years, I know, from 1975 to Swami left 2011. I attended every, the World Conference every 5 years. And some of you might have heard me, presenting some of the views of even devotees, which was, later on, worked out. So, I mean, I can go on, but there are lots of things. But if anybody wants to contact me further, they can contact me on my email. And I'm so happy that I can share my loving words, which I got from Swami, you know. Thank you very much, sir. Om
Thank you
Sri
very
Sai.
much. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
brother.
Thank you.
I appreciate all your words. So now I will ask Brother Ashok to be the moderator, and let's start with the questions and answers.
Om Sri Saram. Thank you, Brother Leonardo, for allowing me to offer this seva. I'd like to offer my humble pranams to Bhagawan, and I pray he blesses this session and that the answers are fruitful for everyone. Om Sri Saram. So let us begin. The first question I have for Brother Leonardo himself. The Global Council, it is said, is supposed to create harmony and unity. What we have seen is that there has been a great deal of disunity and disharmony for many, many months. And devotees are anxious, they're tired, and they really want to know, why can't we bridge the gap? So my question to you is this: why can the SSIO not join the Global Council today?
Okay, it's very simple. We have tried. First of all, on November 16, we received the information of this proposal by Brother Randakar and Naganand to form the Global Council. They sent us a concept paper that contained so many things that were against Swami's divine command and instructions that were unacceptable. So I called Brother Randakar and he told me, don't worry, we will not do anything without your feedback and without the feedback of the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization, and we will always respect the structure and functioning of the international organization. But 1 week later, Brother Naganand made the announcement of the creation of the Global Council without waiting for any feedback from us. So I called him and I said, what is happening? He replied, this is a done deal. So we started to exchange communications with them, trying to reach some consensus. And one day I spoke with Brother Mohan, one member of the Central Trust, and he told me, don't worry, Leonardo, this concept paper is left behind. Let's just do a consultative body, a coordinating body with 3 members of each organization, 3 of the Central Trust, 3 of the Sathya Sai Organization of India, and 3 of the International Organization, and let's move forward. I said, it's a very good idea. We'll speak with Dr. Reddy and with other members of the Prashanti Council. When I spoke with Dr. Reddy, he was very happy with the proposal, and we're ready to move forward with this. But next day, he received an email from Brother Naganand, where he again reaffirmed the concept paper was really unacceptable, because they wanted to impose on us a different structure, a different functioning. They wanted that the Central Trust became the apex body with the control to appoint or remove officers, and all our committees will be under them. And Swami always wanted our independence. I had the opportunity to be with Swami in his house when he gave us his divine instructions about how we should work. And even I will share something. I spoke with Satyajit, the caretaker of Swami, and he told me that 2 years before Swami left his physical body, he announced to him that he was going to leave his body. And at that time, he started to make preparations, and he then he was the sole trustee of the Central Trust. He created a managing council and several committees, and he made many changes, but he didn't touch the international organization because he was happy with our structure and guidance and guidelines that were approved and blessed and really made by him almost. And when on May 30th, we invited the members of the Central Trust to a virtual face-to-face meeting. And then we discussed and we agreed that we were going to join the Global Council with 2 conditions. As they said so many times in that meeting, and this is recorded, they were going to respect our structure and functioning that were given by Swami, and we were going to develop a terms of reference that would be agreed by all parties. So we started to work on that. Many of you worked on that very much, many hours. And we presented these terms of reference to them, but to our surprise, the reply was that we should not call them anymore, we should not send them an email, we should not contact them in any way or form, because we should only contact them if we're ready to surrender unconditionally to their terms. And dear brothers and sisters, we only surrender to Swami. For us, was a surprise when they agreed to start a negotiation, a conversations to reach an agreement. And once they received the terms of reference that we were supposed to develop, as they didn't like it, they just closed the doors on our face. So we tried really hard. We adjusted these terms of reference. We were adjusting to everything that they wanted without compromising the instructions given by Swami. They told us that we left out the most important part for them, that were the appointments. What is this? They want to appoint the chair of the international organization. They want to appoint the key officers. They say that the executive committee will make the recommendations where we will be majority, but they don't say that the signature is there. So they will follow our recommendations if they want. And also they could appoint any person in any position at any time. And this is not the procedures that Swami gave us. When a person reaches a position, it's after a long process of working in different levels, of learning, of having experience. And we have to follow the procedure that Swami gave us. So they were changing all what Swami said to us. That's why, in spite of our big effort, we couldn't join them because they closed the door on in our face. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Leonardo. Thank you for that very comprehensive answer. I mean, what strikes out to me is they gave you assurances in November that they would not proceed. And then again at the joint meeting, which I was present at on 30th of May, I think one of the points of the agenda which they listed was that the structure and function of the international organization would not change. So what happened to these assurances?
It's a very good question. They didn't follow their word. You know, Swami said that the word and our actions should be together. But they say one thing, they said it so many times, it is recorded in the meeting of May 30th, you were present there. But then when we did what they were expecting from us to send the terms of reference, instead of starting a process of negotiations to say what they like, what they don't like, they just said, don't call us anymore, don't surrender, or don't speak to us anymore. This is not Swami's way. And then they started to call every center, every country. They said that they wanted unity, but they created a lot of disunity. They created chaos. Swami always said that we should go to the source, not by the force. We should act lovingly, not threatening the people that if they don't join, they will not be able to sing in the ashram. They will not be able to present cultural programs, even tempting with positions. To me, when I spoke the first time with Randakar on November 16, 17, he offered me the position of Dr. Reddy. He tempted me with that. He tempted Dr. Suresh Govind also with several positions. And now they are tempting the people to give robes if they join the Global Council. This is not the Sai way. The Sai way is a way of love, of unity, but unity in love, unity respecting the divine command. It's not that they want to impose on us their terms of reference, their decision to run over us. Swami said there should be 3 independent organizations that work with unity. We always work in unity with them. We have cooperated with them financially. We always exchange our reports to them. We always have fluent communications with them. They said that they wanted more unity. Well, more unity than what we had was difficult, but we agreed to try. But then they said, no, not just unity. Another excuse that they gave is what will happen when we are not anymore. Of course, we are going to die one day or the other. But if we believe in Swami, the procedures that Swami gave us are going to be perfect for now and forever. So they will also die and they will have to be replaced. And they don't ask us what will happen when they die. We don't know their bylaws and the terms of reference, but they care about our terms of reference that were given by Swami. Our bylaws were given by Swami, word by word. So we are following what Swami told us. So they are now worried about our death and what will happen then. They have to worry about themselves to follow the divine principles while they are alive as we do.
Thank you so much. I'd like to move along, if I may. Brother Anupam, if I could call upon you. Brother Leonardo has spoken at some length and very importantly highlighting the importance of the divine command, because to love Bhagawan is to follow his words. And yet the central trusts seem to be focusing their response to the divine command by referring to the 1981 charter created by Swami. So how does one reconcile the divine command that Brother Leonardo refers to with the 1981 charter? Perhaps you can just clarify so people understand the significance of the two.
Thank you, Brother Ashok. First of all, I offer my humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of my Lord, God and Guru, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, and my loving sairams to everybody on this call today, brothers and sisters from West Indies. It's a pleasure and honor for us to be here with you today. So if I address this question, Leonardo has already given some of the answers, but let me try to refresh them and highlight them. So this organization was started by Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba as he started all three organizations. He started the Central Trust, he started the International Organization, he started the India Organization. Many people think that he is no longer there and so it has to be restructured. We disagree with that. Bhagavan is present now. He was the leader of the organization. He is the leader of the organization. He will be the leader forever. He is the head of the organization. In his infinite wisdom, Bhagavan created three separate organizations. But in 1975, he did an experiment. He started a World Council. He started a World Council, and Dr. Patel may remember this way back when, in which Brother Indulal Shah was the head at that time. And that organization was dissolved by Bhagavan in 1987. Between 1975 and 87, he did have an organization which was supervised by people in India. And he said in 1987 that it does not work. It does not work because of the diversity, the growth, the cultural sensitivity, and the different legal requirements and ethics and culture in different lands. And so he said every country should have its own organization, but they will send their reports to Prashanti Nilayam. Even today, we do send the reports there, and we inform them, and we have worked cordially with brotherly love with the Central Trust and our India organization for many, many decades. Just as an example, even 2 years ago, we had a joint dinner session that was started by the international organization where all three organization leaders got together, all the ashram authorities, all of the Indian state presidents and the dignitaries, all of the international leaders, and we had a good dinner and exchange of ideas and our concepts, etc. Now, the 1981 charter that Brother Ratnakar is referring to was dissolved by Bhagavan in 1987. That organization and that charter no longer exists. And the new organization that he started 20 years ago, it was formed in 2003, the Prashanti Council, and the World Foundation was formed in 2006. All of those are recorded. We have documents that Bhagavan reviewed, he guided us, he confirmed them, and they were published and recorded. So everything that has happened in the last 20 years or so is open history. We have it with us. What happened in 1981 is no longer valid because Bhagavan himself dissolved it. And if he wanted to keep the three organizations together, nothing could have prevented him from doing that. He never did. He kept the three organizations separate, and he did that for specific purpose. How can man, in our limited wisdom and capacity, overrule or overturn what God did, what Swami himself started and did?
Thank you, Anupam. Leonardo was talking about broken assurances given by the Central Trust. And it seems to me you're raising a very important point, because the Central Trust today must know that the World Council was abolished in 1987, and therefore the 1981 Charter, which was for that World Council, must also go. And there was an evolution, and Swami established the Prashanti Council World Foundation. So why are the Central Trust, when they know that the charter no longer applies because the World Council was abolished, why are they relying upon that today to cause confusion?
This is a good question, Ashok, because we have been debating this for a long time. Ever since the Global Council was announced in November of 2020, we have been asking the question, all the officers of the international organization, there are 9 members of Prashanti Council and World Foundation, that includes Brother Leonardo and myself. There are 10 zone chairs who oversee the operation around the world. There are 12 committees with committee chairs, and there are more than 50 central coordinators and deputy central coordinators and other members. We have been asking the question, why are we redoing the organization structure and absorbing it under the Central Trust supervision and authority? There was no answer to this. In November 23rd, Brother Naganand announced that it is because the United Nations has given a special recognition to the Central Trust. When we raised the point that this is just an advisory recognition, there is no executive authority given, and it is one of several thousand. In fact, there are more than 3,000 such organizations in India itself. There is no need to restructure the entire organization. He changed that and he said that, well, we are doing this for the sake of unity. Look around you and see what is happening now. Is this unity? Unity is when we are all equal, all on equal footing, and we can exchange ideas and we can exchange our positions openly. And this was the basis when we met in May. You were part of the meeting. Brother Leonardo was there. I was there. Brother Suresh was there. When we met with them, we raised the point that we want to obey Bhagawan's divine command and we want to stay with the structure and the guidance that he has given us. But we want to cooperate with you, and we'd also like to have a structure in which we are united in our outlook and we can do Swami's work. Our goal was to take his mission forward that he had announced in the 1940s. Take the mission forward and do the work, but keep the individual structures that he has given us. This was the vision. All the trustees to a person agreed, and I heard it with my own ears. They said, we will not disrupt the international organization structure and function. On the basis of that, we wrote up the terms of reference. All of us were involved in that, all the panel members here, and we sent it to them. And the reply back was that we want to have control. Central Trust, the apex body, and they want to control all the organization functions. So they were setting up new committees, new subcommittees. They had the right to appoint the chairman of SSSIO. They had the right to appoint any member outside the organization in any position they wish. So this meant a complete restructure of the organization that was started by Bhagawan and that has worked well for over 60 years. And so we could not find an answer to that. So we are in a quandary. And when we said that we want to keep the structure, within 24 hours, they replied back, the door is closed. There are no more discussions, no more emails, no more phone calls. You have to unconditionally surrender to us or not. So that is the position where we're in. We tried to unite with them on the terms that Swami gave us, following Swami, and they said, no, you follow our terms or you don't. We don't accept you. So there is a dichotomy here, Ashok, that we cannot fathom. And so we decided, the organization, all the members, over 90% of the senior leaders were of the same opinion, that we need to follow Swami and we'll keep doing his work as he has entrusted us.
Perhaps I can just summarize everything you say, and this really comes down to one simple matter: whether you follow the divine command or you don't. I mean, that's really the fundamental question.
Correct.
And with that, if I can go to Brother Venkat, a lot of devotees want to see an end to this disagreement. It's quite unbecoming, and it's really tragic that Sathya Sai name is being paraded in public with this level of disunity. And so the devotees are asking, well, can we not join the Global Council and leave everything to Swami's will? So Venkat, my question is, when what are the pros and cons of joining the Global Council in the circumstances that Brother Leonardo and Brother Anupam have described so vividly?
Thank you, dear brother. Sairam, brothers and sisters from the West Indies, my humble pranams to each and every one of you and to our very, very beloved Bhagawan. May he guide us, may he bless us, may he always be with us. Your question, Brother Leonardo, is tied to the answer that Dr. Ganguly was giving just a little while ago. And to recap the question you asked him, the last few words of your question to Dr. Ganguly was, when you referred to the 1981 charter, that we know it is null and void, yet why are they relying on it to cause confusion? That is the answer. To cause confusion. You're an attorney, Brother Ashok. Would you, or any attorneys out there in the team, in the panel right now, would you go to court and argue the merits of a case on an archaic law that has been constitutionally amended and made null and void? You'll probably be debarred if you did that. There's no chance of you ever appealing to anyone with that. So I don't think that bringing in confusion will help, provided we are all aware of what is going on. And that is the psychology of all of us. The human thinking, the human mind is such that when you're not certain, someone can confuse you and someone can take away your mind. Stealing property is not as bad as stealing your mind. So one has to be very careful. Do not be confused, please. And the standard term that is used to confuse you is one of unity. The pros and cons, the pros of joining the Global Council is so that we can be united. Who is the we? So-and-so country has joined the Global Council. So-and-so country has joined the Global Council. So-and-so regions have joined the Global Council. In your country, so many centers have joined the Global Council. So let's be united. Why don't you join? Okay? That's the line. So let's think about that very carefully. If you, and I'm saying this in a very measured way, if you want to be united, then stay united. There is no way anyone can take away your existing unity by promising you the world, a divided world in the future. They may throw the word unity around, and if you are confused, you will yield to that. But remember these words. If you want to be united, my dear devotees of Sathya Sai Baba, if you want to be united, then stay united the way you are right now. No one can offer you a united world better than what you already have. So what are the pros of joining the Global Council? As a concept, as an idea, as a figment, the global concept has some merits. That we need a unifying, coordinating body. And as Brother Leonardo mentioned, that was the message he initially got from some of the trustees. That yeah, we will have a unifying, coordinating body. And we all keep coming back to the same issue of breach of contract, of breach of trust by trustees. And the breach of contract happened when the joint statement was breached. There were two conditions that were part of the joint statement. One, that we would preserve the structure and function of the SSIO Was that intact? Look around you. Certainly it's not intact. The second condition was that we would make sure that the Global Council is formulated on a constitution that is agreed upon and negotiated and written by all of us. Was that abided by? No. Why? Because in the middle, people walked out. Just like children in high school, they pick up their toys and this sandbox I don't want, and they go away. We don't do that in the Sathya Sai organization. Bhagavan is who we make him out to be. Swami himself has said, your life, your behavior, your life is my message. What is the message you want to give? If you want to give the message of unity, stay united. There cannot be a better unity than the unity you have right now. So, as far as the pros of going to the Global Council is concerned, yes, it's a good concept as long as there's a unifying body that enables the three organizations to do their work better and move for Swami's mission forward in a coordinated fashion for the world to see. Let the world see the glory of Swami, not what they're seeing right now. Not what they're seeing right now. And you do not want to be part of what they're seeing right now. Think about it.
If you allow me, Brother Venkat, I would
Yes.
like to add something about the word unity. Unity is a beautiful word, but should not be opposite to Dharma. You know, we can only be united when we are united in Dharma. Suppose tomorrow a thief comes to you and says, let's go and rob together. Let's be united. Let's go and rob. You will say, no, I don't want to be united with you to go and rob another person. So they said that we use the word divine command as an excuse. And imagine, do you dare to say that the divine command is something superfluous? The divine command is the most important. So we cannot, for the sake of unity, betray the divine command. If any of you would like, for the sake of privileges of singing in the ashram, because all of us will be allowed to go to the ashram, no one can prevent to go to the ashram. They have assured that all human beings can go to the ashram. But if you want some sitting privileges or be able to present a cultural program or sing as a group there, and for that you betray Swami, you betray his word, his divine command, you're making a big mistake. It's as if 5,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago, you were with Krishna in the seat of the chariot, you were Arjuna, and you said, for the sake of unity, I will not fight with this. I go with the Kauravas, let's be united. Krishna gave the answer very clear. You have to follow your Dharma. So this is now a test for each one of us to take a decision if we want privileges or if we want to follow what Swami instructed us to do. Sorry, brother.
Thank you, Leonardo. Perhaps I could just pick up a point with Brother Leonardo, because I think our audience deserves some clarity. You just mentioned that they said the divine command is an excuse. Who said this, and is it written anywhere?
Brother Naganan and Ratnakar said that. Even they gave talks and it was recorded. They said many things that I heard many things, and they are saying that we use this as an excuse. So for me, it's never will be an excuse to follow what Swami told me directly. I heard it from his lips, and we have it in the guidelines. The guidelines are the instructions of Swami. The instructions that we have at the center level, national level, are the guidance and the instructions given by Swami.
And it is written in the letter, brother, in the letter that Brother Ratnakar wrote, the last letter he wrote, where he said, we're walking away, no contact, nothing. In that letter, he wrote excuse of divine command.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can I just, Venkat, very quickly, because I need to move along. You know, people use the word love a lot, almost casually. And we know in this context, the Central Trust is clearly using the word unity casually. But, you know, we teach our children unity as one of the values, you know, coming together. What is unity truly built upon? Very simply.
The simplest answer to that is it must and it is and it can only be built on the 5 human values. Anything else is not unity. It is something else. It is coming together. It's a club. It's a group. Unity, by definition, has to be built on the foundation of the 5 human values. And therefore, Sathya, truth, is essential. Misleading people by bringing an old charter into view and this and that and causing confusion is not Sathya. Dharma is abiding by Swami's words and not depreciating those words by calling it an excuse. That is Dharma. Shanti is best defined by what we don't have now. What we are missing now is Shanti, created by this global council. Prema is what we don't have right now. You can see the messages that are going back and forth and the phone calls and the threats that are being made. You can see where it stands. And ahimsa is certainly not there because families are being torn apart. We are repeatedly receiving so many phone calls of families that their hearts are being torn. And that is the reason we set up a helpline. It's a distress line for people who are being torn apart and the families that are being torn apart by this global council. The helpline is there on our website on satyasai.org for that very purpose. So all the 5 human values are thrown away. Therefore, by definition, you cannot have unity no matter how you call it. It is not unity.
Thank you so much.
Brother Ashok, can I just make one comment?
Yes, please do.
Swami once said, you can't achieve peace by war. The world has seen so many wars, you know, World War I, World War II, many, many wars. Is there peace? How can we ever attain peace by war? That's my simple, you know.
Very well said.
Thank you so much. That's so valuable. In fact, I remember reading an email from Satyajit, who was the last caretaker of Swami, who wrote in an email that unity must be built upon equality. And it seems to me the Central Trust want to build their so-called unity upon control. And I don't know if that has ever worked in the past, but it is what it is. I'd like to move along. Brother Suresh, if I could bring you into the conversation. And this question is to you because you are head of the scriptural committee. This drama has caused a lot of confusion. It has caused disillusionment in some circles, and I know the young adults are not happy with it. Brother Suresh, what is the spiritual significance of what's happening to us now?
Sairam, by the infinite grace, love, and compassion of Swami, we have all come together and gain some insights and get ourselves convinced by the clarifications that we have been given. I just like to take this opportunity to say that the history of human civilization has always been the history of challenges thrown to us. The whole point of being spiritual is not to determine what challenge that comes to us, but to have intelligent responses to the challenges that are thrown to us. I think this is the basis. So if you look at this now in this confusing period, the mind is confused. Oh, Bhagawan, my mind is confused, Swami. I don't know whether to go here or there. There are 2 groups of people. What to do, Swami, what to do? From a distant place, you can see his voice. Manasa bajore guru charanam dostara bhavasagar taranam, which means to say that the whole fluctuation of that mind can only be getting a certain sense of stability when it is put at the teacher's feet. Aha, so the teacher's feet is the answer. Teacher, where are you? The teacher's feet or Swami's feet is representing what? Is representing the guidance, the instructions, the teachings. So the highest duty of a devotee is to follow the teachings implicitly. That's all, obedient to the teacher. That's the simplest expression of devotion. So now, Bhagavan, now Brother Leonardo's extensive explanation, Brother Anupam's extensive explanation, what does it do? It gives us a very strong pillar. What is the pillar? What is the bone of contention? Bone of contention is Bhagavan created this command. Yeah, over the years, he said so in so many interactions. This is the way in which the organization should be run. This is where the World Foundation should be registered. This is how the instructions should be. This is the guidance. This is the bylaws. So many different interactions, so many different opportunities for that interactions and for the generation and refinement of that document. For what purpose? 2011, I'm dropping my form. Now you follow this. So this is what should we do? We should follow the teachings of that. Suddenly, right in the middle of this entire drama, as you use that word drama, right in the middle of this drama, you turn around and there's another group of people who comes, hey, this is an organization, jump over. So Bhagavan, before he left, he had 3 beautiful ships and he pushed it. What is the 3 ships? A SSSIO organization, international organization, Indian organization, and the Central Trust. All 3 were given specific functions, specific tasks. Now you are now supposed to be in the respective ship and sail along. I will meet you on the other side. Now suddenly you turn around, there's another ship coming now. Hey guys, we are here now, jump over. We are here now. Hey, how did you come in now? Who are you? Oh, we just created this, we all jump. For what did you create this ship for? For unity. Hey, that's what we're having now. Yeah, but you jump over, we'll be more united. I mean, that logic doesn't seem to be correct. Second point is that what is wrong with this ship? Okay, the reason for jumping the ship must be that this ship, there must be something wrong. It must be a Titanic maybe. There must be fragments, there must be, hey, this ship is running so well. We have been 119 countries, have been so beautifully working well. Then why do we need to jump ship? Therefore, spirituality is to make decisions. But decisions must be based on discrimination, which is why you find in India, we worship, there's a temple that is worshipping Vibhishana. Not because Vibhishana was with Ravana, but because Vibhishana came over to Sri Rama. That is why. So why did you, from that entire thing, how is it that you had the wisdom? Because Swami said, he represents sattvic nature. So in sattvic nature, where the mind is contemplative, the discriminative capacity is right. You will know what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. This is the time to know not who is right and who is wrong, but what is right and what is wrong. Which is why in every bhajan, everywhere throughout the world, Swami begin the bhajan with what? Ganesha Charanam, Charanam Ganesha. We begin with the invocatory song to invoke what? Because Lord Ganesha represents discrimination. If the discrimination is not there, intelligence will not become subtle. If the intelligence is not becoming subtle, you will be lost in this world of illusion. So it is very important at this point to invoke all that we have learned over so many years. When the examination comes, we must recall what we have learned to write the right answers. Is this, is this that, is this right, is this wrong? This is the time to do it. So best point is now we look back, oh, my friends are going there. Oh, so-and-so leader, he's saying like this. This is not the time to see who is right, because when we die, we go alone, You see, I looked around, I analyzed this. The last time I went to a funeral, I found one person dying. I found nobody else was following him. So all these people whom I am so-called saying will not follow me when I die. So finally, when I die, who is going to come to me? My teacher, my guru. If my guru is the one who's going to receive me, then I better follow his words. I better follow his injunctions. I better follow his instructions. I better follow his guidance. Because by staying at his manasa bhajore guru charanam, that by holding on to the teacher at this point of time, I am sure I will have no problem in making sure that I will gain whatever that I want to gain. Then again, Krishna was lying there, and Krishna was there. Then Duryodhana came. Yeah, what do you want? I want your horses. I want your elephants. I want your soldiers. I want everything. Oh, very good. And what do you want, Arjuna? I only want you. It is the same question now. What do you want? They say, I want these privileges, I want the seats, I want the dancing performances, I want the sitting privileges, I want all these things. Then what to do? They looked at us. What do you want? Oh Lord, all those are taken away. What else, Bhagavan? The only thing I want is you. You know why? If I take you, I know I will get everything. And true enough, the Pandavas were finally won the war. So this point here is that to decide what we want in our life. And this is the time to use your entire spiritual essence of which we are made of to make rational decisions and stick with the charanam of the seat of the teacher, because this is where sanctuary is. This is where our lives can be redeemed. And this is where we are going to get eternal peace, happiness, and joy. And there's nothing wrong with our organization. There may be things that we can improve, but there is nothing wrong that we need to dismantle the teacher's words and teacher's structure in order to create another one. Doesn't make sense. So dear brothers and sisters, this is the time for us to really exercise our spiritual wisdom and make the right choice.
Thank you, Suresh. It's, you know, it seems to me that the simple message that you're giving is a message from chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, which has survived for 5,000 years. Have single-minded devotion to the Lord.
Yeah.
And that is the answer to everything.
I would like to add something to this, because the analogy given by Suresh is very good about the three ships. Some people are confused and they raise the central trust to a level that Swami never gave them. The Central Trust is just an organization to run the ashram, the educational and health institutions in India. The Sri Sathya Sai organization of India is to run the seva activities and the devotional activities all over India. And the international organization is to carry his message overseas. When Swami formed the Prashanti Council, he told us very clearly, go to every corner of the world and spread my message and bring my message there. He didn't tell us that to the Central Trust. Even Chakrabarti, and we have a video where he says that the Central Trust has no authority, no jurisdiction outside India. So why now they want to impose their authority over us, and why do they want to change what Swami left us? I'm surprised. Now I see that in the ashram, if Randakar goes to the veranda, everybody stands up. We never stood up when Swami came. Why are they standing up when Randakar goes there? Swami never created the managing trustee, the position of the managing trustee. This was a creation done now by the members of the Central Trust that was not, what Swami created was the managing council and the committees in the Central Trust. And the members, when Swami left his physical body, they dissolved what Swami has created. So don't be confused. Don't be confused, because we are following what Swami told us, and we must do that till our last breath. Sorry.
Thank you so much. I'd just like to move ahead, Brother Anupam, if I could come back to you. And this comes back again to the question, and this is a question from the West Indies. Please explain the original TOR that the Central Trust put forward, and also the position that they eventually adopted. I think the original document they put out was called a concept note. So would you speak very briefly about the concept note and speak briefly about their last position before they broke away?
Yes,
the
sure. We have little time left, so I'll try to make it very quick. The concept paper that was sent to Dr. Reddy on November 16th had so much contradictions in it and so many inaccuracies and things that were not correct that there was no way for us to understand what it meant. With that in mind, Dr. Reddy, after consultation with all of us, told the trust to delay this until we have a face-to-face meeting. Face-to-face meeting was never held. All of a sudden, they announced on November 23rd a global council will be formed, but there were no details available at that time. So time went on, and there were no further details available other than the concept paper was being rewritten in different forms, but it was not applicable to us at all. Then in May, at the end of May, the meeting was held with them at the request of Dr. Reddy, who approached them for the meeting. A lot of people ask us, what did you do to discuss this and to achieve some kind of a consensus? We tried very hard. And finally, they agreed to meet with us in May. There was a meeting, and following the meeting, a group of us developed the terms of reference. The terms of reference were developed by the international organization leaders to reflect the discussion we had about cooperation, collaboration, and unity of the three organizations, the three ships that Brother Suresh was mentioning, all written in to follow Swami's direction, but keeping the structure and the performance and the organization as it is now. That is how it was written. The Central Trust, when they received it, they added in command and control of the Central Trust, that the Central Trust is the supreme apex body, and they will be the chair of the Global Council, the trustees, and they will be appointing the international organization leader, the president of the India organization, as well as some of the other key members. They're holding the position of the supremacy here. And that is what was not acceptable to the international organization leaders. We hold Swami to be the supreme, and we hold Swami's command, his words, the divine command, to be our guiding principle. This was going to be disrupted. So the main difference between the terms of reference that we proposed and what they responded back was that ours was driven by the mission and goal of Swami's own organizations and his own words. We followed the words that he used before in our vision and mission statement. What the Central Trust gave back to us was adding their own supremacy for organizing and maintaining command and control of the entire organization, which has not been proven. So in this context, Ashok, there is something that I follow very feverishly, and I'd like to read a very short statement from Swami's first World Conference so that everybody can understand what our position is.
Yes,
you can
please.
go and research this. At the first World Conference held in Bombay, 17th May 1968, these are the last words that Swami spoke on this discourse, and I'll quote you. Do your best to follow the directions that I have been giving. Obeying my instructions is enough. It will benefit you more than the most rigorous asceticism. Practice Sathya, Dharma, Shanti, and Prema, which are dear to me. Resolve to keep those ideals before you in your words and deeds. It can confer on you the summum bonum of margins in the supreme substance of divinity, Baba. That is what we follow, brothers and sisters. That is what we practice in our thought, word, and deed. We have been doing this for over 60 years. We plan to do this forever as long as we are on this earth. Sai Ram.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that wonderful piece of guidance, which we all need reminders about from time to time. Brother Venkat, could I go to you? We've got a question from a devotee, and the question is, why is Sri Ratnakar and the Central Trust using Swami's precious and loving students to get involved in this politics, by which I infer means this dispute between the trust and the international organization? Why are they getting the students involved?
Frankly, I don't know why. Swami's students, the way Swami saw them and has described them, are very precious people. But as I said before, when someone is not clear in their minds, it is very easy to get confused. And when you're confused, you can be used as a dut of anyone. And I think that's probably what is happening with promises of things and using fear, a concept of fear. These duts are being misled. I don't know why, but that is clearly what is happening. I want to, say one thing though, that no matter how the Global Council proceeds, the myth that the executive committee has a lot of people from the SSIO, so what's your problem? You are the guys who have control, not us. That myth needs to be explored. And I think that, and I just want to start that off, and I'd like to hear what others think about it. But you see, that's another thing that many of Swami's alumni are using, that it's really just, this is 1 or 2 people, 3 people from their side, and the rest are all from SSIO. And what I want to be very clear about is there is a clause. It is M4 on their terms of reference, and that says that the Central Trust, or the so-called Global Council, has at any time the authority to appoint anyone, maybe even a non-devotee or a former devotee, at any time, anywhere, anyone, anytime, anywhere. And therefore, let us not fool ourselves. The people we see now as zonal chairs, and I'm sorry to say this, brother, you're one of those, and Brother Phil is also one of those. Zonal chairs are not zonal chairs appointed by SSIO anymore. They have the same title, but zonal chairs are those appointed by the Global Council. So the Global Council slowly coalesces into, it grows and becomes like mold. It gathers from each other and becomes a very powerful organization, whose chairman is a trustee who, by virtue of his membership in the Central Trust, reports to the managing trustee. And therefore, the Global Council is responsible only to the managing trustee. So,
thank you so much. Actually, Venkat, with your permission, if I may just pick up a point that you raised, and that is this question of the Executive Committee one, which is supposedly for the international organization. And I've heard this argument that there's only 3 trustees, and then there's the chairman of the Global Council, who's a trustee himself, and then there's the managing trustee, Sri Ratnakar, who will be a permanent invitee. So the argument they're making is, well, there's only 5 of us and 20 odd of you, so what are you afraid about? And I've given quite some thought to that, and because I know this is a point that they're raising as a justification. But I think, one really has to ask, is this a question of the numbers on that executive committee? Or is this a question of who controls the executive committee? And this is where I think the whole issue of appointments becomes extremely important. And I think, with respect, that's the real reason why when Sri Ratnakar broke off the negotiations, the accusation he made was the international organization has removed their control, which he considered to be the most important clause in the terms of reference that was being negotiated. And so you ask yourself, well, why is it the most important clause? Because on the one hand, they seem to be telling people in these town hall meetings, and they keep insisting that actually we don't know why the international organization is resisting. And actually, we don't want to control them. But if you look at the document and the insistence on control, that takes 2 points. The first is controlling the appointment directly by the Central Trust of the head of the international organization. Secondly, through the signature of the chairman of the executive committee and the Global Council, that is Sri Chakravarti, who himself is a trustee, of course, they have insisted that he must sign off on all appointments, whether they be to the Prashanti Council, the World Foundation, the zone chairs. And of course, as a lawyer, if he has to sign off, then no appointment is valid until he has signed it. And if he refuses to sign it, well, there's no valid appointment. Now, one of the arguments I hear is that, well, it's just a formality. Well, if that is really true, it's just a formality, then why did you break off negotiations that millions of Sai devotees want you to succeed on for the sole issue of control? And also, I would put it slightly differently also. If it is a mere formality, why not say, okay, international organization, this is clearly important to you. You follow your own protocols and bylaws, and you make your own appointments. Just notify the Global Council. Notify us that this is done, and it's fine with us. It's a formality. So why have they not taken that, which would uphold the structure that Swami put into place? Why are they seeking to dismantle that and insist upon control? So I would say, Brother Venkat, it is not a numbers game. The control by them is a means of controlling the executive committee. And, you know, I've been a lawyer for 30 plus years, and we see these sort of clauses and we get to see what's really behind them. And the proof of the pudding is in eating it. If it's a mere formality, then allow the international organization to appoint its own officers. I'm sorry if I took up too much time.
No, I think that is right. And what is important in what you pointed out is exactly that, you know, we should think about the future, that it is beyond this present trust and managing trustees. So it's not the personalities that matter. And the way they have set up the authority and control is such that in the future, anyone who takes on the position of the managing trustee or any powerful enough trust members can wreak havoc. I mean, no matter how much we believe the current trust won't do that, but there is documentation that gives them the power to wreak havoc. The entire organization of all three countries, national and international, can go and merge with something that is completely inimical to Sathya Sai Baba. Sri Sathya Sai Baba will be no more in the minds of people if they're taken away. And that can happen. That's what we're trying to prevent. So we have to look to the future. We have to look to guarding the mission of Bhagawan in the future. Now, Swami, in his omniscience, has already taken actions to make sure that this doesn't happen by creating three independent bodies. Just you look at the US Constitution. The main three bodies are independent for a very specific reason, that in the future, you cannot have a coup or you cannot have the rise of a single authority that can be harmful to the mission of this country or harmful to the mission of our beloved Bhagawan. That's why he made it separate in his omniscience.
So,
thank you so much.
But Ashok, can I please ask a question?
Yes,
excuse me. It's very practical. If a president of a center or an NCP who has been appointed by the SSSIO comes to me tomorrow and say, brother, I now belong to the Global Council, what should be my approach? Or what should be our approach?
Brother, if you allow me to answer this question, first of all, I would like to expand a little what Brother Venkat just said. It's not only the future, but it's the present. Because if the managing trustee said something to us, put it in writing, even in the joint statement, and then he doesn't follow his own word, how can we trust him when he says that he will follow the recommendation of the executive committee? He might not follow it. So the numbers doesn't mean anything at all. We can be 100, they could be 3, but if they have the signature, they will do whatever they want. And we see what they want. They want to have control. They say they want unity, but they create disunity. They are celebrating each center that leaves us or each country. How can, if we are all united, how can they celebrate that they are split in this organization? Regarding your question, regarding what will you say, the SSSIO International Organization has been created by Swami. So if a center or a devotee wants to leave this organization, he can go and create another center that they will call the Global Council Center of West Indies. But they cannot use our logos, our name, they cannot be part of the international organization. The international organization has been working very well for 60 years. And recently you have seen all our online programs, each one better than the other, the quality, not only the quality, the quantity. We have reached over 500,000 people with our programs. So we will continue to work because Swami is with us, Swami is protecting us, and Swami has created this organization. So we have to have faith and confidence in Swami, and we will continue doing his work. So if anyone wants to join, a center wants to join, first of all, the president of the center cannot take the decision on behalf of all the members. If all the members want to go, they can go, but they will leave the center and they have to create another center somewhere else.
The name of the center belongs to the SSIO. And I also want to, the point that Brother Leonardo just made, I want to emphasize that there is a problem in the organization, in the Sri Sathya Sai mission right now, created artificially by the Global Council. Families are being split. So now let's look at how the organizations are responding to this. There is a tragedy in front of our eyes. The response to that tragedy by the Global Council is to thump their chests and say, we conquered. The response to the same tragedy by the SSIO is to create a helpline and a distress line to support those who are in difficulty. And I think that says enough about the differences between the two organizations. One that Swami set up and the other that a human being has set up. Now, please keep in mind, not only does the name of the organization belong to the SSIO, all the assets such as official email addresses, websites, social media logins, they're all property of the SSIO and must be handed over if the center decides to leave. Leaving of a center must only be, I mean, your bylaws would say that, can only be if the center members, the devotees, agree. If one person in the center can go and register. And we know that is happening. Actually, there was a posting in Facebook recently by someone that said how they created a false email address just to test and see what happens, and they registered the false email address of a center that does not exist anymore. And they immediately the next day, they got a letter from Sri Chakravarti saying, welcome to join Global Council. And it was a check mark. One more center has joined Global Council. And it's a fake center. So be careful.
Could I just ask you something, Venkat? You know, Swami once said, never leave the organization. It is only the unfortunate ones who leave the organization. Now, at the time he made that remark, there were only 3 organizations that he established. And so I'm sorry to ask you this, but if someone were to leave any one of the 3 organizations that he formed to join another organization created by man, doesn't that come under Swami's, guidance? It's only the unfortunate ones who leave the organization.
Absolutely. I don't see this as any different than people who left us before and joined Mudanali. It's not very different from that. This is an organization that doesn't seem to abide by Swami's words that it says is an excuse. I suspect that this is not where we want to be.
No. Can I move along? Suresh, can I bring you back in, Suresh? You've done a lot of wonderful, wonderful work in Malaysia with the young adults. And I just want to ask you about the young adults because they deserve a lot of attention and they are the future leaders of the whole Sathya Sai mission. And it seems to me that the young adults are being caught in this fragmentation, this breaking up and this dispute. And some of them are very disillusioned, Suresh, at the leaders. What would you say to them, Suresh?
I would think that we need to empathize with the youth simply because if a young youth who's not aware of certain situations, certain things, and then when you find 2 people or 2 groups of people having a difference and having squabble, I think it is breaking their ideal. I think that is what's happening now. Their ideal where they saw Sathya Sai organization, Sathya Sai people, Sathya Sai leaders to be the most idealistic icons and so on. When that image is getting to become distorted by this kind of disagreements, then they are starting to lose. In fact, we have also heard that some groups are saying, okay, we will be neutral. Okay, we are not involved. We neither will be with the group GC, or we will neither be with SSIO. So when we've got so many like that coming now, so I always told them, you see, in the Bhagavad Gita, if Arjuna was there and Arjuna said, Krishna, I am prepared to be neutral now, neither with you nor with the other party. I think there will be no Bhagavad Gita. I think literally will be a standstill. So the whole point of the story is that it is here Baba said, Baba said to the youth, and many conferences it just goes on in my ears. I want you to be like lions, the kings of the forest. I want you to be like lions. Meaning what? I want you to have ideals. So the key thing for young leaders to understand is that base your decisions on the principles. Look at the principles, because ideals are always based on principles. Which group of people are having that ideal? That is the most important thing. So in Swami's ideals now, where we look at it in every sense of the word that we are looking at it, in all these factors that we are having at, you have to see the circumstances. Is it so critical? You ask, the youth leader should be asking, is it so critical where countries, like in my country, we can't even go out for jogging or exercise because it's complete lockdown. And there's no, many people are starving, ICUs are full, people are dying of the COVID. Is this the time in where people are in the most deplorable state, in the most economic plunging conditions of country economies are plunging? Is it at this point of time crucial to make a decision? Should I be here or should I be there? Should we stress devotees like this? So that's one point, okay? That means to say, rationalizing the entire situation. We could have it later, or we could have discussed this at a great length. Number two, young leaders, you are corporate members, you are organizational people, you are also working in organizations. Think, if you're a member of one organization, can another two organizations who are separate and distinct suddenly one day decide, hey guys, we all are taking over? Does it happen? We were given the notice of this merger on the 16th of November. And then that was the official notification of this particular intention. And on 23rd, they've already announced. There's no discussion. There's no workshop. There's no, hey, mergers sometimes takes place. It takes 1 year, 2 years to literally work out on the terms of reference, come together, look at various departments. That's how mergers happen. If you need to make it happen, I'm saying to you, if there is a need for this to happen, it should happen with complete consultation, complete discussion. Only then you can do, not suddenly announce one day. But anyway, when you were announcing that, you were the captain of one ship. You have you have actually no right to talk about what's happening on the other two ships, because that was what was created by the master. So this is the rationalization process that must go on in the youth. Number three, when this is all happening now, it is very crucial for us to make our decision and say, based upon the ideals in which the teacher created the whole document and created the SSIO, is the organization that he himself fostered. Now, the $1,000,000 question, and this is a question that you must ask, why didn't the master think of it then? Why is that the master did not have the omnipresent intelligence to even think of these things? Simple, because it was not meant to be. I'm asking all the young leaders, you got liver, kidney, and pancreas. Are they same? Why didn't God create one liver to take care of everything? Why do you need to have a pancreas specialist and urologist? You just need to have a liver specialist, one organ, large, big organ, enough. So that if one organ can take over the other two organs, because God designed it, hey, this organ, you take care of this. This organ, you take care of this. This organ, you take care of this. Then what shall we do? Hey, if the three organs can have a coordination, have an ability to manage and intellectually coordinate, that's fantastic. That is what, in the proposal of the terms of reference that we wrote, let us create a coordinating body to coordinate the functions of these three. A logical approach towards making sure everything become all right. If that is being thrown out and you want to take over, then where is that ideal in which the teacher stands? So this is what when you talk to the youth, they understand, oh my God, oh, this is what's happening. Actually, many people are confused because they don't really know the intricate details. They just stand at the top and find out what is the exact conflict. So it is up to leaders and elders to provide that educational opportunity, have strong affinity with them, and create and make sure that you make them understand. But we also say, look, at the end of the day, if somebody has made a decision and they're going to go that side, you must also make sure you have love and respect and don't talk ill of them and be judgmental and all that. So you have love, you have your respect, no problem. Thank you, Sairam brother. Thank you, sis brother, Sairam sister. That's it. But you make that choice and make sure that you make an informed decision. I think if you rationally explain to them in a systematic manner, young leaders are very easy for them to understand the situation. Today, they are confused because clarity has not been given to them, and they are continuously being influenced by another group of people. Therefore, they have biased opinions are coming in. So please, I urge every leader here to engage with them and empathize with them, because I really, really feel because I came into the Sai movement as a young leader, as a young youth, and I can feel what exactly that they are feeling, confusion. So we need to give clarity.
Yeah, Suresh, if I could just pick up, you said you've given so much and somehow the lawyer always feels it's not enough. So can I just ask you some clarification questions and just keep it short in each? You mentioned the concept paper that came in November 2020. Was there any consultation with the international organization before they announced and circulated the concept paper?
Okay, Brother Ashok, one thing I'm not able to adhere is, you said keep it short. Okay, never mind.
Please keep it short.
Okay,
keep it short.
okay. Okay, the point here is that, you see, until the 16th, and this is the confusion part, and I think we want everybody to understand. Until the 16th of November, when the letter of the intention of the Global Council reached Dr. Reddy's computer or email, nobody knew about this point. No one knew. So when it was raised up at some forum, they said, oh, we have been discussing this for a long time. It was in our mind and so on. Hey, what you have been discussing in isolation, or you have been thinking about it for months, how are we to know? We need to know what is it that you are thinking. So that official notification came on the 16th. And until then, we asked everybody, and everybody was very clear. We did not know about it. Then 16th to the 23rd is 7 days. And 7 days later, on 95th birthday, it was announced. See, that was the announcement. Actually, we should go for a Guinness Book of Records, because normally mergers take a longer time than that. We can maybe get an award for that. Okay, after that, on the 23rd, on the 23rd.
Before that, I think let's clarify one point. I think when the document came to Dr. Reddy on the 16th of November, he did reach out to Sri Naganand, and he did also reach out.
I can answer that, Ashok.
Yeah, sure.
On November 16, Dr. Reddy got the first concept paper. He immediately emailed back to Brother Ratnakar, Brother Naganand, and all the trustees, in fact, that there is a lot of issues here. We need to sit down and discuss this. Please wait until you hear our feedback. That offer was never responded to. We never received a response to that. The next thing we knew, it was announced on November 23rd.
Yeah, so actually, it seems to me that Dr. Reddy did want to sit down face to face at some time.
Yes, from the very beginning.
COVID permitted. Yeah, when
yes,
COVID
and even after that, in January, he kept writing, he kept contacting the trustees, along with Brother Leonardo, and I did contact one trust member also, and we asked for time to discuss. And this, Leonardo was told, Brother Leonardo, correct me if I'm wrong, you are told that it's a done deal. There is no negotiation.
I think he told us that. I'd like to, with your permission, go back to Suresh, if I may, because I told Suresh I had a few questions, and I'm conscious of time. So Suresh, the lawyer in me, the moderator in me tells you, let's give me a quick answer. You made a very important point, Suresh, that this is a time of a global pandemic, and Swami taught us how to serve as part of our sadhana. And yet this whole fiasco almost has distracted so many people all over the world. What is the urgency and hurry that the Central Trust felt using their judgment that this had to be dealt with now and put the service activities of COVID on the back burner? Suresh, are you there? Okay, we seem to have lost him.
Suresh is muted, I think.
Yeah.
Suresh may have lost the connection.
Okay, so perhaps Anupam, you heard the question.
It's a connection issue, brother. He's there, but his devices are not connected. Yeah.
Yes,
so
yes, Ashok. The
Anupam,
question
let
is,
me come back to you.
Yes.
Come back to you. There is a catastrophe the world is facing. Why have we been distracted?
Yes, this is also another reason why Dr. Reddy and all of us had asked them to postpone this. There is no urgency that we can think of. Ask yourself the question, what has been going wrong with the international organization? All over the world, Swami's message is going out, more and more people are getting involved. We were doing seva in different countries for COVID relief, for hunger relief. None of this, Central Trust has never participated in any one of these reliefs. Aren't they the children of God? Are the children of God only in India or only near Puttaparthi? Aren't they all over the world? We ask the question, let us postpone this. These organizational matters don't need to be addressed right now. We can do this later. But still they went ahead and they kept pushing and pushing and pushing. There is no real reason that we can fathom on why this has suddenly come about and what is the urgency. And this thing hit all devotees and officers on the auspicious day of 1, Bhagawan's birthday celebration, 2, on his Mahasamadhi day, when we are all focused on Swami and his works and how we can serve humanity. Rather than focusing on his teaching as a mission, we all got distracted with this question of why are we going to be taken over by the Central Trust suddenly? Ashok, may I answer one other question? I wanted to give you some feedback on this. This question has been the one that you asked Brother Suresh. Many devotees have asked us, what should we do? And here's my advice, brothers and sisters, those of you who are on the call. Please listen carefully to the facts and the arguments and the advice being given to you by all the senior devotees here and evaluate it for yourself. You have received a lot of material from the Global Council, from the Central Trust and their agents. Please make sure you check the facts and you ask yourself, is this consistent with Swami's teachings? Ask yourself the question. Make sure that you have all the material with you and you can make an informed decision for yourself. What I advise people is that ask yourself, is this Sathya? Is this Dharma? Is this something that Swami would approve of? If so, then please go ahead, go and do it. That is what your heart tells you. But if somebody offers you some positions, some privileges, some other substances of no value, ask yourself the question, why are you part of the SSSIO International Organization? Why do you follow Swami? Is it for your spiritual benefit or is it for maintaining some worldly privileges and worldly goods that you are after? And ask yourself the question, what has the international organization done wrong in the last 65 years that they have been around? What is it that we are not doing right and what needs to be corrected by changing the entire structure and doing things differently? Our advice is keep doing what you are doing. Follow Swami and ask for guidance in your own heart. Don't listen to innuendos, threats, and offers from others who are acting on the behalf of Global Council, Central Trust, or any other organization. And this includes a certain number of students from the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning.
Thank you, Anupam. Leonardo, yes, please go ahead.
I would like to add something very simple. I think no one has any doubt that Swami created the international organization. He nurtured it, he fostered it, he guided the international organization. So why are we going, or why is any brother and sister going to contribute to dismantle this organization by replacing it for something else created by the managing trustee? How can anyone be an accomplice of this intent of dismantling something that Swami created? I think this is very simple. Anyone has to ask their own conscience if they want to be part of that heinous action. There is one question here, if you allow me, for the sake of time, regarding the financial that the West Indies have contributed to the Central Trust. I will tell you very simple. The Central Trust has a corpus of $200 million. And this last year, according to their reports, they have a surplus of $10 million. But in the middle of this situation, they have reduced the salaries of the employees of the universities, the schools, and of the hospitals. Some of them have resigned, the others have to adjust to survive. And at the same time, while doing this, they gave a donation, an important donation to the government of Andhra Pradesh. Swami was never in favor of donating money to any political party. So how can they, when they have enough money, more than enough money, reduce the salaries of their employees, submitting them to live in very bad conditions, and at the same time donate money to a political party? This is something that we cannot understand. And you have to ask yourselves, ask the Central Trust, why are they doing that? Yes, Ashok, you were going to ask something.
Yeah, Brother Leonardo, I was going to ask you something else, but I'd like to park that for a second. Now, since you brought up the issue of financials, I'd like to talk about financials for a moment. The international organization does a lot of humanitarian work. And there was recently containers of food sent to Africa.
Yes.
Has the Central Trust ever contributed money to the international organization for all this relief work and saving work outside of India?
It's very simple, never. Over the last 30 years, the international organization, the World Foundation, through the donations of all the devotees, we have given more than $30 million to the Central Trust for all the humanitarian actions of the Central Trust, the hospitals, the educational institutions. We have never received 1 cent. And as I said, they have just last year a surplus of $10 million. We had a very humanitarian crisis in Africa. They were starving. We donated a lot of food to them. The Central Trust didn't help us at all. Just to give you an example, well, we have tried to donate oxygen concentrators to India. We have spoken with the president of the India organization. He was gladly to accept it. But 1 day later, after he spoke with the managing trustee, he refused to accept them. So Brother Venkat has been part of it. We have donated it to another organization. These are things that we cannot understand. What is happening with them? Why suddenly they treat us as their enemies? We are all brothers and sisters. We are all united by love. But suddenly, as we don't want to accept their authority, we are their enemies. This is understandable.
Yeah, so are you saying that they refused the offer of oxygen concentrators because of this dispute?
Yes, I'm saying that.
That's shocking. That's shocking because people are dying, and that's where the priority must be.
It is really shocking. As all else, how can not, if you are a spiritual aspirant, if you are a devotee of Swami, how can you not practice what he taught us? He taught us that we have to follow our word, even if it costs our lives. Well, the managing trustee didn't follow his word, the word given to us, and even put in writing in the joint statement that he was going to respect our structure and functioning. There are things that they cannot understand.
Well, if he did, he should at the very least have followed Swami's word to relieve the suffering of people.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'd like to move on. Venkat, can I bring you in, Venkat?
Sure.
The question from a devotee in the West Indies is this: is it dharmic that the Global Council let me read it again. Is it dharmic what the Global Council has been doing since April, trying to woo individuals, centers, and countries to leave the international organization and join the Global Council? That was the question. But there's another question I'd like to link onto it. And that is, why are they giving Swami's robe, promising the chairs? Why are they giving so many trinkets? I mean, what is with all this bribery that they are using?
Brother, if you ask me, if something is right, it can stand on its own merit. You don't need either a carrot or a stick to make it work. In fact, many people who have given talks about Swami, experiences with Swami, and they have often said that when Swami wants something, things automatically fall into place and it happens. Is that happening now? No. They need a stick, threatening privileges, or they need a carrot. I'll give you bribes. So I think this shows it's not Swami's will. That's number one. The second thing is that when the world is suffering, as you correctly said, honestly, I have seen people gasping for air and dying, and you don't want to give them oxygen concentrators. I mean, there are things, there's a line that we cannot cross. We have to put aside our differences and work together. And instead of helping the dying people, the two organizations again have chosen two different paths. And the previous I mentioned, one organization decided to choose the path of division. And we decided to choose the path of helping people with our helpline and distress line. And we're getting tremendous amount of input there. In this context, again, two different paths. One organization has chosen to further divide people and their families and cause a lot of disunity and go and boast about that disunity they have caused. And we try to mention to the world that we have donated close to 450 oxygen concentrators to India. We have donated hundreds and thousands of the personal protective devices and food to help people who are suffering in this pandemic. That's where we should be focusing. So our two approaches are different. And the differences come about because one is created by Swami and one organization is created by man. So man's ego and man's greed and these things will show up in an organization created by man. And only the divine can show in an organization created by God.
Thank you so much. Suresh, have we got you back? Is your connection back on? Yeah, it seems not. So Brother Leonardo, can I come back to you and ask you this question, which a devotee has asked?
Yes.
Can anyone at Prashanti stop devotees from visiting the ashram? A quick answer, because there's a follow-up question.
No, they cannot, and even the managing trustee has assured that no one can stop any devotee to go to the ashram. This cannot be done.
So they will get the accommodation, they will get seating as normal.
Yes, yes. The only thing that they will not get, for example, we as members of the Prashanti Council of the World Foundation will lose our seating in the veranda, that we don't care. And the countries, if they want to present a cultural program, they will not be allowed. Or if they want to sing as a country in a group, they will not be allowed. But all the other things, sitting in the cycle band hall, accommodation, this will not change at all.
Thank you. This issue, Brother Leonardo, about countries who want to perform in the Goulburn Hall not being permitted to if they do not join the Global Council. What confuses me about that is that was a privilege given by Bhagawan himself. On what basis is the Central Trust threatening to take it away if you don't join Global Council?
It's not on a spiritual basis. It's not on a basis, it's not based on Swami's teachings, for sure. Swami was love. He is love. He will always be love. And anything done without love is not Sai.
Thank you. I'd like to ask you something, Leonardo, which is linked to this Prashanti Nilayam connection, because we will always be deeply connected to Prashanti because it is the home of our mother and father. But there is a WhatsApp photo that is circulating, and in fact, it came to me at the beginning of this session, and a person has made a note, and I'd just like to read it to you and get your reaction. It says, yes, do the right thing for Swami by not leaving Prashanti Nilayam Puttapati, as Swami said that he will never leave Puttapati. So somehow they seem to be saying, if you don't join the Global Council, you are leaving Swami, you are leaving Prashanti Nilayam. And they're saying, don't do that.
Let me
What's
tell
your
you,
comment?
if the person that made that question still don't understand who is Swami. Swami is the omnipresent, omniscient Lord of this universe. His body is buried in Prashanti Nilayam, but his soul pervades the whole universe. He is here with me now, around me, in my heart. He's there with you. He's everywhere at every moment. So if you don't understand what the Purna Avatar is, if you don't understand what God is, you don't have to confuse the physical body with God. I had many experiences with Swami. Most of them were not in Prashanti Nilayam. Most of them were in Argentina or anywhere else in the world. Swami showed me his presence in so many places in the world. He's showing the presence to millions of people in different countries in this planet. So Swami said, Prashanti Nilayam is where he lived his physical life, but the real Prashanti Nilayam is in our hearts. So he is with us now. We don't have to be confused about that. And also, Dr. Reddy gave a couple of talks in Prashanti, asking the people not to forget Prashanti Nilayam and to go there to visit Prashanti Nilayam as part of the spiritual discipline. So we have our own office in Prashanti Nilayam with a secretary. And we consider Prashanti Nilayam the home of our Divine Father and Mother. So we'll be always connected to Prashanti Nilayam. But it's not a physical place. It is a spiritual place. And we are never going to leave Swami because Swami will never leave us. Swami will never go out from our hearts. So how can we think that?
Yeah, so Leonardo, if I could just ask you before I really want to move to Anupam. The Central Trust is attempting to say that this is a choice between Prashanti Nilayam and Los Angeles. And I don't know why they're picking on Los Angeles, but do you have any comments on that?
Yes, I think I think it's a very stupid saying. You know, Los Angeles is the house of some devotees. Some of them are members of the Prashanti Council of the World Foundation. The World Foundation legally has its legal office in Los Angeles because Swami decided that when it was formed. Swami approved it because it needed a physical location. But members of the Prashanti Council and the World Foundation are in different parts of the world. I live in Argentina, Marianne Meyer lives in Denmark, well, Suresh Govind is in Malaysia, and we are all over the world. So they want to confuse us and they want to make the devotees think that if they don't join the Global Council, they are leaving Prashanti Nilayam. This is a lie. Prashanti Nilayam is, as I said before, the divine abode of our Divine Father and Mother, but we will always be connected with Prashanti Nilayam. But also, Swami told us, go to every corner of the world and bring my message there. He didn't tell us, go only to Prashanti Nilayam. He told us, go to every corner of the world and bring my message. So in every corner of the world where there is a Sai center, a Sai group, there is Prashanti Nilayam as well.
Thank you so much. Anupam, if I could just ask you, and I'm conscious of time because we need to close this meeting in about 10 minutes. But so some quick short answers and then I'll come to Venkat and we'll close up. Anupam, we're hearing about the leading proponents of the Global Council, that's Sri Ratnaka, Sri Naganand, and the new chair of the Global Council, Sri Chakravarti. And these are the people who will have a lot of influence in the Global Council. But can any of these people really, do they have, and this is really a question from the floor, do they have the skill and knowledge to run centers outside of India with their unique and diverse cultures and laws?
So before I answer that, Ashok, just to make a quick comment, We have another meeting on this particular channel, this link at 7:30 Los Angeles time, which is 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. But we'll be happy to come back again later. If you want another meeting to continue asking questions, we'll be happy to come back again. Now back to this question. Actually, that is another question that was being asked by all the senior officers about Global Council. The Central Trust does not have any demonstrated experience, knowledge, or past track record of supervising and directing operations of centers and organizations outside India. In fact, the way Swami set up the organization was it is an organic growth. It is a growth from within, from the ground floor. From the central level, you rise up to the national level through the regions, and from the national level to the international level, and you keep serving. And at all these steps, Swami personally guided the leaders in what needs to be done, what rules need to be followed, how should the selections be made. And he said very clearly that this is not an election process. This is by selection. It's a spiritual organization. Our growth is spiritual. It's by love, peace, and unity. Sathya and Dharma are our foremost principles. Put everything else aside. We serve at his pleasure. The Central Trust, on the other hand, was entrusted to be the managers of the ashram. They were going to manage the ashram, manage the hospital, manage the educational institutes, the Chaitanya Jyoti Museum, all those. That structure is a management structure. It is not a leadership structure for a spiritual organization. And this is the reason why, if you listen to the video interview by Brother Robert Baskin, Swami directly told him many times, I do not want trustees to oversee or supervise the international organization. I do not want it. And the reason is that this is for the welfare, for the growth of the organization. We have no personal vested interest. None of the officers are here for their own glory, for their own benefit, for their own economics. We are here to serve at his will, and we'll serve as long as we can, as long as Swami wants us. As Brother Leonardo mentioned, there are many instances of Swami's invisible hand in how this organization is operating so smoothly. This cannot be done by human beings alone. And short answer to your question, we have no evidence that the Central Trust has operated at this level successfully for any period of time. Even now, if you talk to the universities, you talk to the hospital staff, you talk to the ashram staff, you'll find out what the real situation is there. It is not a good picture as far as we know.
It reminds me very much of what Robert Baskin said last week during the interview we had with him, when he said, if the position of God became vacant, there will be many applications, but nobody will be qualified. And I think we really must trust Swami and not seek to second guess whatever he says. Venkat, we're coming to the end, and I have a quick question for you. Please keep your answer short. How many countries remain in the international organization? Because the suggestion of the Global Council is that a lot of countries, a lot of centers are joining, a lot of regions. What are the facts?
Sorry, I was on mute. Brother, as I mentioned to you before with the post somebody posted on Facebook, people joining, centers joining, nations joining, regions joining don't have much currency, because you can create false email addresses, new email addresses, and register. So the numbers game is something we should all not play. Regions, entire regions are joining without consultation with devotees, and devotees are very upset, and the regional officers are not taking phone calls anymore. So this has been going on. But I think since it's getting close to the end, I just want to quote something that Mahatma Gandhi said in South Africa to the Britishers. We understand that there are little confusions and problems with what is happening at the level of our centers in some cases. But that is our problem, not somebody else's. An outsider doesn't have to come in. That is not their problem. We don't need an invasion. We need to be able to go within and try and sort our problems out. Just because we disagree on certain things don't mean that we are enemies. We are united right now, and that's why I keep saying that we are united. People think, oh, we are not united. I had a disagreement with my center president. That's not disunity. That is a disagreement. We are united because we are one family celebrating the glory of Swami, participating in his mission together. Maybe you don't get to play the harmonium, but you're still part of us and our family, and you have the door open for you to talk or write. But I think we all should feel that unity that exists right now. So I have do's and don'ts as the thoughts I want to leave you with. Please do look at the facts. And this is a summary of all the things that have been said so far. Please do look at the facts. We have it on our website. If you need more, you can write to our helpline, which is also on the sathya.org website, and we'll provide you with facts. Verifiable, provable facts. Look at Swami's words. What is it that Swami wants? Always ask yourself that question. Do ask that question. Please do ask, what is it that Swami wanted of the three organizations? What is it that Swami wants? What did Swami write? What did Swami command? Please go back and look at that. And then please do look at what has happened so far. This process of Global Council has had nothing but acrimony. You can look at the messages and emails that are floating around out of the Australian Global Council. Messages of hatred from different sources, messages of boasting, messages that divide us, messages that are authoritative. So look at what has happened so far. That is a preview, that is a trailer of the future. Please don't, these are the do's. So now please don't be swayed by claims of unity. We are united as now, as I said. We may have disagreements, but we are united, we are one family. And we don't need somebody from the outside to come in dominantly, authoritatively, refusing to discuss anything with us. We don't need that. Don't be misled by the old charters and voided documents. Please don't be misled. And then lastly, as it was mentioned, please do not go by who is saying what. Please go only by what is being said. Adhere to Swami. Adhere to the 5 human values. That is the foundation of unity. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you. And by way of just closing, I would say, whatever metrics that one uses, it does seem to me the Global Council has failed, because the original purpose was to have NCPs as members of the Global Council, and they don't have many NCPs, and therefore they've resorted to focusing their attention to get centers to join. So on the original plan of getting NCPs, they failed. On their plan or claimed plan of wanting to build unity, they have failed, as we have seen. And on their clear, blunt, and audacious plan to control the international organization, they have failed. So it seems to me that when you depart from divine will, that is the consequences, and it's a mess left behind. So with those words, I offer my humble gratitude.
Brother Ashok, can I add something quickly?
Yes.
We are closing the meeting because we have another meeting starting in a few minutes. But if necessary, we'll come back again for the devotees. If Brother Dr. Gautam Tewari or Brother Ajay or Brother Lalu wants us to return, we'll be happy to come back and organize another session. Thank you. Sai Ram.
Thank you.
Sai Ram. So thank you. With those words, Brother Gautam, I give it back to you. Om Sai Ram. Thank you.
Sai Ram, sisters and brothers, I want to thank you all for sharing your time with us on this beautiful satsang. I want to thank our senior leaders for providing clarity and for clearing confusion, and providing, inspiration to all of us. I want to thank Bhagawan Baba for giving us this chance to come together as one loving family. Let us now close with a prayer. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Saram.